So if you get a Evite, Stacey, to the freak off party from Diddy, what are you doing at that point? Are you like, yeah, let's sign me up, or it's like, what the fuck is this?
Well, it's interesting. You and I just had a conversation that didn't make it onto the recording, and it was about, I was talking about how Prince, back when he was alive, actually went door to door trying to get people to join Jehovah's Witness. And I'm not a very religious person, but I would have been like, sign me up, baby. So
yeah,
you know what? I could have been sucked into one of these things, maybe.
You probably could have. I mean, I think that's the thing. A lot of times when people get sucked into cult-like atmospheres, which I've been saying on the interviews today that I did, this seems kind of cultish, what Diddy had going on in a lot of ways. Not truly a cult, but I mean, almost like how R. Kelly was kind of a cult, how Epstein was kind of a cult. That sort of level of it. So and a lot of people who fall into it, they're not crazy people. They're not stupid people either. It's like just kind of like this intrigue, and then you get there and it's like, oh, it keeps going. And where do you say stop? But there's a controversy now surrounding obviously Diddy, we've been hearing about for quite some time, and is the topic of a lot of our interviews this week, reaching new heights following revelations of alleged clandestine, quote, freak off parties and the installation of hidden cameras at his property, sparking widespread concern and scrutiny. This is where it starts to get into Epstein type territory. According to documents filed by Diddy's former employee, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, the rapper is accused of covertly recording guests at his residence, including celebrities, athletes, politicians, music executives, engaging in illicit activities. These allegations have raised significant questions about policy violations and potential blackmail tactics. And this is exactly what Epstein had on dignitaries, on very, very high up people, including celebrities as well. Now, we're never going to know what was on those tapes of Jeffrey Epstein, because the people who are super high up who are on those tapes have made it, a priority not to ever let that stuff get out. As twisted as that is, it's just a fact of reality. Epstein is one person. Diddy is another. I think we're going to find out what's on the Diddy tapes.
Yeah, I think we are too. And I think there's a lot of people who, they're going to spend their weekend going, oh, shit.
It's going to be interesting who kills themselves over the next handful of days or weeks. Because... And I'm not saying that flippantly. I'm legitimately saying that. If you start seeing people who were around Diddy over the last 30 years suddenly dying or killing themselves, there's one of two things. Either they were offed or hit because they know something that Diddy does not want out, and Diddy is still a free man as of this recording, or they know that the repercussions for what they have done on the premises of Diddy, and now finding out on camera, they will not be able to handle that. So it's going to be very interesting to watch, because there's a lot of people who came and went out of Diddy land. So
yeah, there's going to be some reckoning here. There's whether somebody is going to be busted and have their entire life just thrown into shambles because of what's going to come out. And it's going to come out. Yeah. Make no mistake. People are going to learn what recordings there were. This isn't going to remain secret.
Well, and it's because it's not in control of Diddy anymore. It's the federal government that has control of these recordings. Now, if it's a high-ranking politician or something, I'm sure it won't come out.
That's going to be different.
But if it's a celebrity of some sort, I think there's a lot of reason to be concerned. And God, I mean, it's going to be interesting. And what did Diddy save? I mean, Diddy has been so isolated and insulated, I think is the better word, from any sort of issues for all these years. And we've heard rumors over the years, but it always just kind of like tampered down, and he was able to keep going. Why was that? That was the big question. I think this is the answer, because he had blackmail material on so many people. So if anybody's going to speak out against him, guess what's going to happen? Look what I got on tape with you doing.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I think this is, and now it's all going to be coming out. So there's a lot of people that I think need to be concerned. Jones' lawsuit paints a disturbing picture of these gatherings, describing them as events sponsored by major players in the record and his industry, where attendees reportedly engaged in drugs, sex, and encounters with underage individuals.
Oh, boy.
The civil complaint alleges that Diddy was possessing compromising footage of every person who attended these parties, which he allegedly used as leverage. I guess my question here is this. If you're going to a party where there's a lot of drugs and sex, why does it have to, with people like this that are at such a high echelon, why does it have to involve underage people? Why can't you just have sex with people who are of age? Like, what is this thing
and
of like
consenting? You're Diddy. That's the thing, Tony. I mean, like I was saying about Prince, that man could have walked up to my door and asked me to do pretty much anything. And I would have been like, it's Prince, come on in. You don't have to manipulate people and fuck over minors to get what you need.
It's just, I don't understand this. Is it because like they're just to such an extreme that they're only used, like they can only, I don't know, get off on extreme behavior? I don't get it. I don't understand why like these things always have to then turn to and they're underage because they're more impressionable and you can mold them to do this sort of stuff. I don't buy that question, that answer, because there's sex workers who are of age. There's plenty of hookers in this world that and sex workers that Diddy could bring in that are not children. So why the hell that was the thing? Or is it part of his scheme of like, okay, I need to have them be underage so then I have more leverage, because if they're just having sex with a of-age prostitute, that it's not as juicy as it would be, or as compromising as it would be, or damaging as it would be if it were the other way around. I don't know. I mean, this just gets more Epstein-like by the moment. But it's beyond twisted. Social media reactions to these allegations have been swift and vocal, with many expressing concern over the potential destruction of evidence and the involvement of powerful figures. Comments on platforms like TikTok reflect a mixture of outrage and skepticism, with users speculating about the fate of incriminating videos and the identities of those implicated. And here's the deal. They caught him completely off guard.
Mm-hmm. He didn't have time to erase anything.
He did not know that they were coming in. I know it looks suspicious that he was on the runway about ready to go off to spring break, but every source that we have says that he did not know this was coming. He was literally just going off to do spring break with his kids. And God knows what that actually means, but it wasn't a fleeing the country type moment when they got him on the tarmac. And I talked to two FBI agents today about all this, and they're in the interviews, Robin and Coffindaffer, which you'll hear on the show, that it was very likely he had no idea, but that's why they had to hit both properties immediately at the same time and hit him at the same time. And it was likely, we have a subpoena for your phone. Give us your phone right now. And I mean, there's some question about whether or not they said, don't get on this plane, don't fly out of the country. That may or may not have happened, but they likely grabbed his phone at that moment while they were hitting his homes and getting everything they possibly could. So it was probably more so on the line of Diddy going, it's probably not the best idea to run away right now while all this is going on, in trying to figure out what's happening. Plus, I do really wonder if they did say, you get on this jet and it tries to take off, we are going to arrest you right now. Don't, and we won't.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I'm wondering, is he going to kill himself?
That ran through my mind too. I would imagine that that's got to be somewhat of a risk right now.
Yeah.
Because this is not going to end well, especially if these allegations are true. and he's been involved in these sort of things. You have utter just destruction of everything you've done in your image, and then in prison for the rest of your life, or do you end it now?
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if, honestly, this is Murder in the Morning. We're recording this technically on Friday before the Monday that this airs. I would not be shocked if by Monday morning there is something else that's happened by this point in time. We'll air it anyway, but just for perspective. But meanwhile, the spotlight on Diddy intensified after federal officials executed search warrants at his Los Angeles and Miami properties earlier this week. Aerial footage from the raid appeared to show Diddy's sons, Justin and King, being led out of the Los Angeles residence in handcuffs. Although his legal team emphasized they were not formally detained. They were not. It's simply how the FBI does their business. They go in there, they grab you, they pull you out. And that's all that was done. They pulled them out. In response to the raid, Homeland Security Investigations issued a statement acknowledging its involvement in an ongoing investigation, but provided limited details regarding the nature of the operation. The move has further fueled speculation about the scope of the implications of the probe of Diddy's activities. It's going to be interesting, and I think they're treading somewhat lightly right now because they're trying to find the tendrils that are coming off of this and determining where they go and where they lead and who else they can take down that has been involved in this world of Diddy, because it's not him operating in a vacuum alone.
No, there are so many people involved in this. And I think you're right. We're just going to see this avalanche of people losing their shit, whether they can't cope with it anymore, they come forward and say what's on their mind, or they take an easy way out. And the chips are going to land where they do. I mean, the house of cards is falling.
It is. It's going to be very interesting to see who all falls with it and who was involved in this world, because it's pretty shocking. Are you shocked by this? I say that. Maybe I say that a little too flippant. Are you shocked by this? I'm going to ask you just that flat out.
Yeah, I am. And the reason I'm shocked is because I just don't want to believe this is going on. But I guarantee there's more than the general public knows. This is money and wealth and power. These people live behind walls that we have no idea exist. You know, we don't see what's behind these doors. People who are everyday people.
Yeah.
We don't see these lives. We don't see these parties. We don't have yachts where, you know, we're off of, you know, the US property lines, you know.
Yeah.
We don't exist this way. We go shopping at the grocery store, we go to Target, maybe we'll go to a movie, a concert. That's our lives.
Yeah, we go
for these people.
We go and buy stuff at Target. These guys buy people on the black market, allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah, their lives are very different than ours.
Yeah.
So to hear this, to me, it's shocking. I can't fathom what even one of these parties would be like. I've been to some wicked parties in my day, even some radio ones that were like, what the hell's going on here? But nothing like what we're hearing about in this case. No,
it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting on legacy as well. I mean, obviously Diddy's is fucked. But I do also wonder about other individuals who have been looked back on in history as, oh, you know, they were a good, like Biggie, things like that. Because Usher has named him at some of these things. And there's, I mean, I would not be surprised, you know, what the hell was going on. I mean, we're talking about people who are dead now. They can't really testify to anything. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, someone gets caught up in that sort of world, including him, thinking this is just how it is. This is just how this works. And it's a weird thing to say, but I mean, again, different place and time. The world was different before Me Too. It was a very different world in 1998 or 1999 or 2000 or 2001 or really any time before then, before the Me Too movement took over, where this sort of shit was just kind of like accepted in a way in the music industry of like, well, this is just how they do it. I mean, if these girls want to do this stuff with them, then they're going to do it, whatever. And then all that changed. But it was really kind of looked the other way. That's how R. Kelly got away with the shit that he got away with forever. Mm-hmm. That's how so many people got away with the shit that they got away with forever. Because it's like, well, what are we going to do? And it's a really weird way of looking at things, but it is how it was. It's not an excuse by any means, but it's a matter of putting it into perspective of what the world was like at that point in time. And it's very different than today. So if you're a 20-year-old listening to this going, oh my God, you don't have the perspective of what it was like then. You just don't. But it's not an excuse, but it was different. And it does explain. It doesn't excuse, but it explains why they were able to get away with such blatant, horrible behavior for so long. And then suddenly there came a reckoning. And you notice once the reckoning kind of came along, Diddy wasn't out in front of everything anymore. Diddy used to be like in front of everything. He was doing this, doing that, sponsoring this. It was this and that. And suddenly you didn't really hear a whole hell of a lot from him after Me Too. Gee.
In a way, that might have been smart.
Well, I think it was his strategy, but eventually it all came to roost.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.